The current Bitcoin price correction could change everything for Bitcoin in the long run. Warning, pay close attention. We're seeing Bitcoin being dragged down with the global markets because there's currently panic in the market due to the new AI model Deepseek, which is causing quite a stir. And this could ultimately turn everything upside down. What are we seeing here? Currently, has absolute Bitcoin paradise candle vibes in the long run and could massively influence the Bitcoin price. Positive in a way that's hard to imagine. Don't understand. Why are people panicking right now? The current crash or pullback here with Bitcoin has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself. Instead, it's just related to the global markets. This morning, I also released a video about the liquidation waves that are currently happening here. And that's what's causing the price pressure. I'm going to explain it now. Why we're indirectly seeing a confirmation for a Valhalla candle, a potential one. This has to do with Elon Musk. It has to do with AI. And that has to do with technological advancement. And it also has to do with Deepseek. I also made a video about that not too long ago, where I talked about Elon Musk and why AI is going to be such a massive driver of Bitcoin prices. Because Bitcoin is limited, and AI is going to bring us into a world of abundance. Technological advancement is going to make all goods cheaper here. We're going to dive into a deflationary world. It's almost hard to imagine. And we're seeing that now with disruptions like Deepseek, which are questioning traditional business models, completely question everything and ultimately turn the traditional world upside down. And when we switch into a world like that, it's pretty clear that in the end, everything will become easier to produce. Everything gets cheap. We're going to have even more wealth. We're basically going to be overflowing with wealth. Now, let's put it a bit exaggerated. And what's really important is a store of value that can't just be diluted by technological advancement. Through new innovations, through disruption, or something like that. Somehow, this can be diluted. And this store of value is Bitcoin. And now we're going to dive into why this crash could really change everything for Bitcoin. This isn't a crash, it's a pullback. I always talk about a crash, but really it's just a pullback. We really need to take a deep look at this. There's a tweet here that says, with Deep, it's like buying the most expensive house in the neighborhood for 10 million. And someone else buys a similar house next door next month for 200,000. Only very few understand what that means. But they will feel it soon. And you really need to understand this now. Because the person who really doesn't pay attention right now is going to be left behind. That means houses are getting more expensive due to inflation. But where's the technological advancement is so drastic that houses are actually getting cheaper. Of course, with Deepseek, it's an AI model, but one AI model brings a lot of other costs down. And that basically means your groceries are going to get cheaper. Your house will get less. What do I know? School is going to get cheaper. The internet is going to get cheaper, sofa is going to get cheaper. But we have a fixed store of value. Bitcoin, which is absolutely limited. That also can't be improved by technological advancement or innovation or AI or anything like that. That is still solid here, and that's really important to understand. And that's why Bitcoin will be the most sought after tool here. When we are in a society of abundance. When we are in an AI, whatever, technological, disruptive, whatever society. And then we also need to understand this here, what's happening here additionally. So what we're seeing now is that an AI model is coming out. Or here, like this new AI thing in China, right? That's where NVIDIA comes in. That's going to turn traditional AI companies completely upside down. And that just shows us that the entire stock market, including the whole S&P 500 and so on, is massively inflated. So we're not just looking at one side here. The deflationary tendencies are already starting to show up that are coming our way with AI and whatever. But we also see here that the stocks are hopelessly inflated. What does that mean for Bitcoin? For Bitcoin, that means that in the end, it gets confirmed. What all Bitcoiners have suspected for a very, very long time is that Bitcoin is the black hole. That the monetary premium will be sucked out of stocks, real estate, as there is much dumb money. It's all invested here, looking for a safe haven from the inflation of fiat money. It's purely invested, looking for a safe haven from the inflation of fiat money. But because people don't yet say, that's that, created and coming to Bitcoin and ultimately understanding it. Okay, hey, here Bitcoin could be the better store of value. That's why people are still going into some classic stocks. S&P 500 Magnificent 7, that's all cool and everything. And they will probably continue to increase in value. But we can already see what effects this black hole, Bitcoin, could have. Current events favor Bitcoin. Bitcoin gains, AI gets a boost. That's good for Bitcoin. What's happening right now? The Deepseek is giving AI a turbo boost. AI leads to massive deflation. That's basically what I meant. Prices are getting cheaper. That means deflation. That means everything will be more affordable. Deflation leads to drastic price cuts. Falling prices shrink the gross domestic product. A lower gross domestic product makes the debt ratio explode. Higher debt ratios make it harder to pay off the debts. And now it's getting really interesting. Higher repayments force central banks to take action. And what is the action of central banks? So we now have rising debt ratios, and all of this triggered by AI. And the action of the central banks here is a lot of money printing. And then there's Bitcoin, which was created to soak up the excess liquidity from all that money printing. So we're seeing here that money printer go, which means central banks will also be forced to do this through AI, through deep and stuff like that. Printing more money to basically keep the Ponzi schemes going. AI is behind this. Prices are going down. And because of that, people are already moving into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the only limited option, and people are starting to realize that everything else is abundant, let's say. And on top of that, it forces central banks to pump even more money into the market. And we know exactly what asset is most correlated with the global money supply. 82%. That's pretty clear. Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin is also being massively propelled upward by this innovation, by this disruption, on multiple levels. That's definitely the case. My outlook on the whole thing, so you really shouldn't be bearish about this. Instead, we should really look at the whole thing from a positive perspective. We shouldn't just look at all the events in the short term, but we really need to look at the bigger picture. What's happening over the 10-year period? What happens if we can build houses for almost zero cost in 10 years? That's obviously a bit exaggerated. But let's say for half the cost, or a quarter, or a third, or a fifth of the cost, or something like that. Is a house really still a good store of value? What if we do it in 10 years? Gold maybe for, I don't know, even half, a quarter, or a fifth of the costs. Is gold really still a good store of value then? What if AI stocks become irrelevant due to open source models? Now become completely irrelevant due to some open source models like Deepseek here. And people have stored their money in there. And basically, AI is breaking everything apart and making all these companies redundant. Now, of course, that's also a bit exaggerated, but at least here. That ensures that your capital is coming from these companies. If that happens, is this a suitable store of value, or is Bitcoin better? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. The better store of value. These are basically just questions we need to ask ourselves now. That doesn't mean I have a right to anything or something like that. I could be completely wrong about this or something. Feel free to write in the comments if you see it differently or if it's always tricky. Let's say, describing some future models or something like that. This is just my version of it, my vision. Hey, I could be wrong about this. But hey, take a look at this. Elon Musk has something to say about that. He also made an interesting comment about it.
I did a poll and we asked, is AI making a difference in your life today? 13% said yes. And they said, in 5 years from now, will AI make a difference in your life? 87% expect in 5 years it will make a difference. What is it going to do for people? Is it going to put
anything
them
you want
or to work?
AI will do anything you want and even suggest things you never even thought of. So AI really within the next few years will be able to do any cognitive task. It obviously begs the question, what are we all going to do? Pretty much any cognitive task that doesn't involve atoms, AI will be able to do within, I'd say, max 3 or 4 years, maximum. And then now, another element of it is the robotics. The AI can't just be thinking in a data center. It's got to do things. So that's where you need the robots. So, and you need, self-driving cars, which are.
So Elon Musk predicts that in 3 to 4 years, AI will take over everything here. That you can only imagine. That doesn't involve any physical atoms or anything like that. So any kind of automated stuff, any computer-related things, even a lot of jobs. What I've been trying out is using ChatGPT for contracts. Back in the day, you had to send that to a lawyer, to some lawyer or something by now. Do you take a picture of it? You upload it to ChatGPT and then ask, hey, can you check this contract for me? Are there any critical clauses? And so on. Jobs where you used to have a whole person or an entire legal department. Now upload to ChatGPT, ask for legal advice. Let me show you. Legal advice or something like that might not be legally binding and all, but at least you get a rough overview and can get it done in just a few minutes. That used to take weeks or days. I mean, how intense is that? And Bitcoin is the one element that can't just be diluted. With Bitcoin, you still need the proof of work. With Bitcoin, it's still tough to do Bitcoin mining. You can't just create Bitcoin out of thin air, even if we have the most massive AI development, if we can somehow, I don't know, fly to the moon in 10 minutes. Even with rocket technology, 3.125 Bitcoin the net remains. Bitcoin currently brings 3.125 Bitcoin into circulation every 10 minutes. If we had a Dyson sphere, if we had built it, let's say in an exaggerated way, we could still, if we had the current performance and basically had unlimited energy available, and not unlimited, but even with a lot of energy, we still couldn't mine more than 3.125 Bitcoin right now. But everything else would be in abundance. We could basically produce things with just a fraction, probably around 1% of the effort we put in today, where we still have to work really, really hard to get things done, or something like that. Can we just, let's say, manifest that out of thin air? That's obviously an exaggeration. So, it's meant to be symbolic. You must understand, happening here. Anyone who doesn't get this right now and doesn't understand it, what disruptive forces do we have? They're going to be left behind. Elon Musk is also talking about robotics, self-driving cars, and so on. It's all going to come our way. And the next question is, what kind of money will an AI use? What will a self-driving car use? What kind of money will a robotaxi use? Or any robots? They're definitely not going to use any fiat shitcoins because they know better. I mean, they're smart. So, if you ask an AI, what's the best money, it doesn't just come out with something like fiat money, but then it comes out, Bitcoin, the best money properties, it's decentralized, not corruptible. No ALP land long run. She's thinking, hey, I need money, that this is somehow anti-fragile. And they'll also take Bitcoin. Bitcoin becomes even more in demand. That means we don't just have people who want Bitcoin. That means right now there are about 8 billion people. They want Bitcoin. In the future, we might have 8 billion people, plus maybe another 5 billion robots or something like that, who want Bitcoin. That means the total addressable market. It's getting bigger and bigger for Bitcoin. So the total addressable market for Bitcoin doesn't even stop at 8 billion people. I mean, just look at how crazy this is. And now there are actually people here who are panicking. Because Bitcoin is crashing down by a few thousand euros. Because some kind of theft model is indirectly bringing Bitcoin down. So Bitcoin isn't even falling directly, but indirectly when the global market pulls Bitcoin down with it. And most people are totally missing what's going on right now. This is the biggest disruption we've probably ever seen in the history of mankind. Bitcoin combined with AI, that's a massive power that's hard to put into words. And that's really, really difficult to model. This, let's say, is no one knows exactly how this will play out. It's probably going to get a lot crazier than most people can imagine, even if we take a look now. We're living in such exponential times. That means what happened in the last 50 years is probably going to happen in the next 5 years or so. My grandpa says this is a crash. If you look at how slow progress was back then. And if you look at the last 3, 4, 5 years, and how it has been catapulted forward at a rapid pace, let's say, so it's indescribable. I mean, just think about it for a second. About 50 years ago, there weren't even smartphones or anything like that. And now, I don't know, we have the classic technologies here. And if we look 5 years ahead, we'll be thinking, hey, 5 years ago, there were still cavemen here. And now you have space technologies and whatever else, and you can do the classic things here. And the big shift will happen with the disruption, with AI, and so on. Even though people, this isn't going to happen next year, but it might happen over the next 10 to 20 years, when people also realize that the classic stores of value, through all of it, won't work anymore because of all the disruption, all at once. So right now, gold still works as a store of value, silver too. All the stocks and stuff, that still works somewhat. A property still works as a store of value. Elon Musk is more intense, saying 3 to 4 years soon. More intense in his wording. He says 3 to 4 years, but in the next few years, just In 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, it could very well happen that suddenly properties lose their function as a store of value. Stocks could lose their function as a store of value. Of course, not all stocks, but certain industries here, certain sectors will lose their function as a store of value. Then we have gold losing its function for value. That's going to happen really slowly, silver and so on. Also, other, let's say, currently rare earths or rare materials or something like that will gradually lose their function as a store of value. That could definitely take a long time. I don't want to say, hey, panic, sell all your gold or like that. No, not at all. But we need to pay attention here, what's happening here right now. That's really something else. And now I have a quick announcement for you all. 3 days ago, I launched the Bitcoin Advantage, the first Bitcoin-only, high-level Bitcoin community here in the German-speaking area. And the feedback has been truly overwhelming. In just 72 hours, hundreds of people have really signed up for the waiting list here, in the Telegram channel, signed up with us. And why do people do this? Because I share valuable content with you every day for free, and of course here as well. Great exchanges are happening. This new community will be kickstarting soon, and now it's really important. Only those who sign up in the Telegram group on the waiting list will definitely get access to it. We'll see you in the group. I'll drop a link for you below. Definitely check it out. Highly recommended. And no, this isn't your classic come join the group kind of thing. I just had to laugh while editing the video. Join the group, yeah, let's fucking go. Until then, folks, peace out.